another
haircut and tutorial.
Today, I'm going to show you how I cut my 13-year-old son's hair to look like Dean Winchester. This right here. If you're not familiar with Dean Winchester, it's from the television show Supernatural. The character's name is Dean Winchester, not the actor. The actor is Jensen Ackles. But I really like this haircut. I think it's super cool and nice, clean haircut. So here it is. Hope you enjoy.
All right, so get him all caped up here, and first I'm going to show you exactly how long his hair has gotten. I keep saying, we'll do it tomorrow, we'll do it tomorrow, we'll do it tomorrow, and then bam, look at all that gross stuff over his ear. Oh my gosh, it looks so bad. It is way overdue. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do is use my number 3 guard on my clippers and go from the nape all the way up, scooping out at the top like scooping ice cream. Just kind of go up and out at a nice kind of angle to help that fade in to the scissor cut when I do the scissor cut on the top. And I go all the way around his head, scooping up, push all that extra top hair out of the way. If his hair's long, you might want to clip it out of the way, but Bruce's hair is short enough I can just kind of push it and it'll stay. And now I'm going to use the comb to hold the hair down as I'm clippering through it, because his hair's so light that if I just clipper through it without any resistance on it, it can just push it out of the way instead of actually cutting it. So I'm holding it down with the comb to give it a little more resistance. There I'm going back and getting a little space that was still just a little long. And now it's time I move on to my 2 guard, which is just a 1/4 inch shorter, I think, or an 1/8 of an inch shorter. I think it's an 1/8 of an inch shorter. And I'm going to fade it up a little more down there with that number 2 guard. It helps. It's easier to go from a 3 to a 2, and then from a 2 to a 1 if you want to go even shorter. That using those clipper guards really help do a lot of the blending for you. And now that I've done all that fading, I'm going to go around the edges with my trimmers and just make a nice clean line around all the edges. Now, a lot of places, you might remember when you get your hair cut, they do this step at the end if you get short hair or your son gets short hair. But I like to do it right now because I'm going to have him wet his hair down again, because I don't like to cut that super fine blonde hair dry, because it will just poof out and go all around the room. Make sure to straighten up those sideburns and comb that front part forward to get off any extra length there. Now turn your clipper sideways when you're working around the ear. That way it won't actually accidentally cut, because they can do that. They can, if you're pushing them right on that, directly flat on that curve of the ear there, it can cut. So I like to do mine sideways, and then there's no issue of it. There's no chance of it. So we're just going to wet it down, not shampoo it, because he did just take a shower like 3 hours ago. And I'm going to dry it off, and I'm going to section it out with my comb, just brushing all the top part kind of over to the middle like a mohawk, kind of. Like imagine you're just combing a mohawk. And then with your regular shears, yep, those, we're going to go through and cut off anything that's still sticking out. So we're looking, like, comb that out and then make it kind of a straight vertical line. And that will, yes, just like that. Good job. Oh, that's me. One of my favorite things about cutting Bruce's hair is that we get to have conversations. He talks to me more when I'm doing something like this, because I've kind of got a captive audience, really. He can't go anywhere. So we always have really good conversations when I'm cutting his hair. So it's a great reason to figure out how to cut your son's hair when they're young, because then as they get older, they'll be used to you cutting their hair and you'll have that relationship established. Now what I'm doing here is I'm kind of parting the hair down the middle and pulling it over to the side, and then still cutting it vertically. It's kind of how you cut a faux hawk. You remember that? You remember the faux hawk? I don't think that's still really around anymore. I don't know, maybe it is, but see how that's parted right there? Kind of, it reminds me of alfalfa. But you part it down the middle and then cut your partings vertically. And this gives it a perfect fade. And then you go through, well, I'll show you in a second. Push it all back with your fingers and you go through, pull it up, starting in the front, and you cut it straight across on the top, cutting off the faux hawk. And blend it in on the sides. Make sure you don't leave that long section there on the side. Then going from the front of the head to the back of the head, pull up a section using that front part you just cut as the guide. And so just cut everything straight ish from that. If you want to angle it up a little bit as it gets towards the back, that you can do that, because sometimes you want just a little bit more hair around the top, around the crown of the head. So here I'm just going through and double checking everything, pulling up all my sections, making sure there's no random long guys sticking out, because that happens. Little scissor over comb action there, and then just combing up sections and making sure there's no corners sticking out, cutting all that business off as best as I can. And then it's already looking so much better than it was. We're almost there. Almost there, guys. Almost there. Alright guys, time to get out those thinning shears, one of my favorite tools. So I use this right through the fade part, because as that hair gets longer, it gets thicker and bulkier, and this just kind of lightens it back up a little bit without removing all the length. So it still is fading out longer on the top, but it doesn't feel quite as thick and heavy right through there. I also am going to use these all through the top so that we get that nice textured look all through there. Oh yeah, and right through the crown here especially. I noticed when Bruce was a little baby boy how that crown area with that straight blonde hair likes to stick straight up and straight out. So I use those texturizing shears through it, and it really helps it not be quite as alfalfa, once again, if I may. But yeah, see how I am going through the top and in counter sections opposite of how I cut it? This really helps, giving these two different sectioning during the haircut gives it a lot more texture. I don't know if that makes sense to you or not, but I hope so. And then I'm going to go through, oh, I found some long, did you see that? Oh, I found that. So I'm going to go through and with my regular shears and straighten that back up. Did that get it? Nope, let's do this one. So I've already texturized it. That was pretty quick. Go through now, just anything that looks kind of wonky. And that's about it. Now I'm going to get him to go over here to the sink and rinse out all that loose hair, because when you texturize, oh my goodness, it makes a big old mess. So if you can't go wash it right away, you want to at least rinse it out. Now here's the age-old question of pomade, wax, or putty. So for styling this hairstyle, I love putty. Putty has a little more hold, but still has a dries to a nice matte finish. Whereas pomade does not have very much, if any, hold, but keeps it kind of wet looking. And a wax has a little bit of hold and is not as wet looking as a pomade. But I prefer the putty for this particular style. I did not have any when I did his hair here, so I did use some just gel, because that's all I had, because it's quarantine, baby. Now, come on, guys. That's pretty close, right? That's pretty darn close. I think it looks pretty good.
So that's it. That's how I do Bruce's Dean Winchester haircut. Such a handsome kid. But I think it gets him a little more time in between haircuts. That one does. It'll go more like 6 weeks rather than 4. And it looks nice and clean and sharp. So that's all I got for you today. So thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time. Bye.